Hello everyone and welcome to this week's Product School webinar. Thanks for joining us today. Just in case you didn't know, Product School teaches product management, coding, data analytics, digital marketing, UX design, and product leadership courses online and our 16 campuses worldwide. On top of that, every week we offer some amazing local product management events and host online webinars, live streams, and Ask Me Anything sessions. Head over to productschool.com after this webinar to check them out.
Hello and welcome to the webinar. My name is Lila and I'm happy to be here today to talk to you about interview funnels. So let's start. A few words about me. So I'm a product manager. I started my career as an engineer, then I was a project manager, and now I'm a product manager. So I'm happy to share my experience and hope you will have something to learn today. So what we are going to talk about today. We are going to talk about quantitative and qualitative research, and we will focus on qualitative research. We will talk about interviews planning. We will talk about how to attract and engage your respondents, and we will talk about creating funnels, interview funnels, to maximize the output. Okay, so quantitative and qualitative research. So as you probably know, we have two phases in our customer development process. We have quantitative research, for example, surveys, where we measure interests, where we measure needs. So this is basically the first step of validating your idea or assumption. And you will have the pretty much straightforward quantitative output from this phase. So I don't know, for example, like 60% of your respondents have this issue or this customer pain, or they have this routine in their daily life. After that, we have qualitative research, for example, interviews, where you explore, where you ask open questions to understand what is actually going on. So how our customers use the product, or what do they do on their daily basis. And this is the part we're going to focus today. Interviews, interview funnels, and everything that can help you in this process. So, first of all, it is worth to mention that an interview is a time-consuming process. So, my best advice is to make sure that you have time, you have resources, and you will be able to focus on this process. So it means that, as for any other projects, we need to start with a plan. So no matter what, development project or any other kind of projects, it is worth to have a plan. So, how do we start? How do we create the plan? First of all, we need to understand what, why, and who. What do you want to achieve? So what is your goal? Are there any specific area that you would like to explore? Are there any specific scenarios that you would like to check with your respondents? So what is the purpose, right? Because if you just explore. If you just interview and ask questions, of course you will find something interesting, but what next? What would you do next? And how would you use the results of the interview? If you don't know the purpose, you will never achieve that. Another interesting question, why do you think an interview is the best way to achieve your goal? And again, you have other ways for customer development. Just make sure that the interview is the best way for you at this particular moment. Because again, an interview is a very time-consuming process, so you need to use these two very wise. And the last question, who? Who is your target audience for the interview? So make sure your audience is really the audience you would like to hear feedback from. Think about it. What questions do you need to ask at the beginning of the interview to make sure that this is actually your target audience? And later in the presentation, I will share funny situations that I had with this target audience thing. Time. Again, an interview is a very, very time-consuming process. So make sure you have prepared. Make sure that you have a script for the interview process, so you will not end up like shocked or confused, because it is not where you want to find yourself, where you just don't have anything to ask, or you are so confused you don't know what to do. So make sure you have a script. Make sure you actually have several paths for your interview. Make sure you are prepared for the case when something is wrong, or you will get answers you are not actually ready for. So the key takeaway here, make sure that you will get everything from this interview. And if something is wrong, you have a plan B, how to make the interview valuable for you. Okay, so let's take a look at the funnel. This is the example interview funnel that I have used for one of my projects. So the first step for every funnel, this is the contact. So how do you contact your respondents? And later I will talk about each phase in details. So you contact your respondent. In the ideal world, respondent replied or like saying, yes, I'm ready to participate in your amazing interview process. I'm ready for that. But in real world, you will get the situation when you have no replies, right? So what to do? Don't be shy, follow up your respondent and make sure that you propose not only the target interview, because in most cases you will have several projects in your roadmap, so maybe this particular interview is not so interesting for this respondent. Make sure that you provide everything you have. Like, okay, maybe you're not interested in this particular interview, so I'm working on this and that project. Or do you want to provide a general feedback? So don't accept no as an answer. Make sure that if you have established the contact with your respondent, you will have the interview. You will have the interview for the upcoming projects, or you get the general feedback if it's your client. General feedback is actually super important, so don't hesitate to ask. After that, we have a stage where you schedule the interview, and again, scheduled interview is not a guarantee that you will have this interview. Somebody will not show up, and it's okay. Don't hesitate to contact the respondent one more time, saying, hey, you didn't show up, probably the time was not very convenient for you, let's reschedule. And you know what, in most cases, if the respondent didn't show up, they have, I forgot, or maybe I had something, urgent, and they, pretty open to rescheduling interview. And actually, the last and the most important step, the interview itself. And we have here the ugly gray box saying the dead end. So at each step of your funnel, you will have those who will not reply to you, who will say no, or didn't show up, or stuff like that. So it's okay. It's a part of the process, so don't be upset because of that, because actually most of your respondents will end up at this dead-end box, and it's okay. It's a norm. So prepare yourself to be positive, and don't let these dead-end respondents discourage you. Okay, so calculate. Before you start contacting your respondents, you need to make sure that you know how many interviews and how many replies you will get at each step of your funnel. So how many people you need to contact at the first step? What would be the success rate at each step? So how many users will you get at each next step? And as I said, try to convert those who said no at each step. This is the way how you can maximize the success rate. The first step, you are ready to go, you have everything you need, you have calculated the number of respondents, so you need to select the communication channel. How will you connect? How will you get your respondents? It could be phone calls, it could be emails, it could be social media, it could be ads, depending on your target audience. So the proper communication channel is the communication channel your target audience is actually wanted to be contacted, right? So the response rate at the first step could be increased by selecting the proper communication channel. So make sure you have the proper channel. Follow up. Again, if you didn't get the response, make sure you follow up. I can say from my experience, if I send an email and I don't have the reply, I will send a follow-up message saying, hey, probably you didn't get my message, or something like that, or you didn't had a chance to take a look at that. I'm asking you to participate in the interview, and actually, I would say that around 30% will reply back to me after the follow-up email. So this is the pretty good, increase of the response rate. So please do not underestimate this way to get your respondents. No is a start. So as I said previously, if your respondent replied back saying, no, this is not actually what I'm doing, what I'm good at, or this is not my area of expertise, okay, just don't lose your connection with the respondent. Think about your other projects. Think about getting a general feedback if it's a client. But make sure that your established connection will bring value to you. The interview process itself. So plan more interviews that you need. Somebody will not show up. Somebody will not be your target audience. And I had a very funny experience with one of my projects where I have scheduled several interviews. And some people said something like, actually, I don't have this kind of employees that I'm actually was interested in my company, but I want to support you, so I'm here for you. I'm ready to answer your questions. So they actually, they weren't my target audience, but they were so open, but they were willing to help. And thanks to my plan B, I had a lot more things to ask about. So that was funny, but from my general purpose perspective, they were not target audience, so the interview that we had couldn't be counted for my target project. But in any case, I've got feedback. I asked questions regarding my future projects, so I didn't lose the connection, and I was happy that they have an impression from our company that we are open and we are interested in their opinion. So everybody were so happy after that interview. And so that's all for today, and thank you so much for listening. I hope you will have something to learn. I hope that you will have something to implement, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me. Please contact me in LinkedIn or in Instagram, and just ask. I'm so happy when you reach me out and asking questions. Thank you. Bye.